I have here a question for you, and we are going to introduce NLP to you through a small quiz of what your perspective is about NLP. Yeah, neuro linguistic programming, as Natasha said. I have put up a link in the chat. You just have to click on it, it will take you here. And if you are finding it difficult, do let me know. You could put your answers in the chat as well. We are perfectly okay reading the chat too. The only way we look at it over here is you get a ready-made answer of who says what. And you can see 6 people participating, 3 of them absolutely disagree, 1 completely agree, 2 partly agree, and you can see different views coming up. And then we can discuss each of these elements as they come in. There's no wrong answer. It's about your perspective. This is not a quiz. And we are just looking at it to facilitate a discussion on what NLP is. Natasha, 12 responses. Would you like to say something about it? And we will
Wow,
go ahead
lovely.
with the next.
Okay, so a lot of us do agree to the fact that, partly agree to the fact that NLP is nothing else but hypnosis. There are 4 people who completely disagree, and you have 3 people who completely agree that it is hypnosis, and one is partly disagree. Well, just to give you a little more information about NLP, NLP actually has very little to do with hypnotherapy, right? So it has nothing to do with hypnosis. It doesn't put you in a state where you are unconscious, subconscious, and then you kind of figure out things. Well, NLP is a high level of self awareness. And the best part about NLP, I think, ladies and gentlemen, is that you in fact don't need anybody else to do NLP on you. That's the best part. You can actually make it a part of your life in smaller and bigger things. So no, it's not hypnosis. It's a lot more than that. So it doesn't even have hypnosis as a part of it. Well, NLP is about understanding why you do what you do and giving you the power to change the results you need in your life.
Awesome. Thank you. So, is NLP a technique used by psychologists for treatment of their patients? Ladies and gentlemen, HR managers, I know you must have hired some psychologists sometime. You must have invited them to your organization to do some one on one consulting with your employees. Do you think that NLP is a technique used by psychologists to treat their patients? The best part of using this link and replying to it is you can get live scores of what people are thinking. Yeah. And it gives us a perspective of what I look at as an answer and what others look at answer.
But
Over to
could it
you, Natasha.
also influence people to start joining the majority and not stand out? Because I'm getting a light telecast. Partly agree seems to be the right answer.
Very true. Yeah. So it's like what Amitabh Bachchan does, na? Janta ki Rai. So
बट
yes,
नहीं पता होता कि दूसरे क्या राय दे रहे हैं अभी पता चल
हाँ दूसरे क्या राय दे रहे
All right, I think 13 of us have already replied. Yes. Is it that they use it for their patients or for the people who come for consulting with them? Yes, NLP in the recent times, I wouldn't even say recent, but I think early 2000 onwards, it's gained a lot of importance because, like I said, NLP is a very, very strong mix of tools and techniques which increases your awareness, right? And like we always know, you can only change what you're aware of. So, yes, the psychologist, to a large extent, right? Quite a few of the psychologists I know have trained themselves on NLP because they find it extremely handy when they're talking to their, coaches or to their people. And yes, they have been using NLP techniques, something like visioning, anchoring. We'll talk about these techniques, which you can beautifully use. Perceptual positioning. These are some very nice tools, which, yes, psychologists, psychiatrists, and a lot of counselors have been using over a period of time.
True. Just to add to Natasha's point, psychologists use these tools because these tools can be transferred to their patients. They can use it themselves. So they can actually teach them and they can use the tools themselves.
Absolutely.
Okay, here you go. The next question. People who want to manipulate others should learn NLP. I know. This is a question which is going to create some amount of what should be the right answer. What do I think is the right answer? Go ahead, Natasha. What would you say about it?
Well, NLP talks about language. Linguistic part of NLP is actually the language part of it, which means how do I interpret the world around me? How do I interpret words? How do I interpret the information outside of my brain, and how do I store it inside? Right? So NLP is a lot about that. Well, people who want to manipulate others should learn NLP. If that is what you want, you can. But if you look at it from my part of the world, because I see the world differently, like you see the world differently, well, people learn NLP because they really want to make changes in their lives. They want to transform things. They want to make changes which have taken them a very long time. For example, I work with a lot of I am also a life coach. I work with a lot of people who've not been able to get confident with public speaking, find it difficult to say no to people, have been dealing with traumas and phobias of their lives. And that is where NLP has come. So, yes, manipulate, no, but influence, yes. You can influence people using NLP. You can open them up to a world of opportunities.
True. Like any other tool, NLP can be used either ways.
Yeah.
Manipulation is a choice of the human being.
That's how you interpret the word manipulate. So I don't know
Yeah,
how you've stored it in your brain decides how you want to use NLP.
true. Is NLP just another trend? There are so many trends which come from the Western world, from the Eastern world also nowadays, like all the Vedas, all the stuff which keeps coming. Okay, now this is the new trend which comes in HR or which comes in counseling, which comes in learning and development. Is NLP just another trend? Wow, here we have, yes, this is the
All right.
wonderful part of HR, right? We do not have a clear agreement on any one of them today.
And that's okay. That also shows, Sumit, that we all are different. We use our brain differently. We are wired
Right?
differently. So I would look at this very differently. Well, NLP is just another trend. Not really. I think NLP has picked up not just with the corporates and individuals, but I think uh, I was really surprised. But my father is from the armed forces, and he was there in armed forces for about 33 long years. And the recent thing which I've seen in armed forces is they have a 5-day interview, which is a very grilling session. I was very surprised that NLP was being used there. So, yes, it's not just a growing trend. It is something which has application across functions, right? It started early 70s. I think it's gained a lot of importance, and it's only the application and the results which are making all the difference. So no, it's not just a trend. It has a great application which you'll see in the next half an hour.
Yeah, a trend which has stayed for more than 50 years, if I may say it that way.
Yeah, it's
My way of
trending.
looking at
Yeah,
it.
you may want to
Yeah,
say it's trending. Yeah.
yeah, for half a century now.
Yes.
NLP believes that mind and body are part of the same system. If you're looking at your screens and wondering how are these dots coming in, there's a link in the chat. You can just click on it and you would be party to one of the dots here. If you are not able to go to Menti, you can just type your responses in the chat. We are open to reading those responses as well. Wow, there you go.
Yes, I think most of us agree to that. Yes, truly. NLP feels and NLP believes, it's one of the presuppositions which NLP has, is that mind and body are part of the same system. If there is something good happening in the mind, the body is going to reciprocate and be in alignment. If there is something bad happening at the body end, which means you are in some ache, you have some you probably are in some pain, or you're going through something which is physically uncomfortable, the mind automatically gets aligned to it, right? And it also gives you a good thing about is, if you really want to change, then you just have to make a change one place. You either make it in the mind and your body will change, and if you make it in the body, the mind will change. Right? So a lot of times I can't be confident with my shoulders going down. I'll always be confident with my shoulders going up. So the moment I do that, even if I'm underconfident, my confidence kind of comes up. So yes, mind and body are part of the same system.
Wow. Thank you, Natasha. So that's the principle number one from NLP, that mind and body are part of the same system, and you can program them both independently as well as with a bit of techniques. Next, is NLP a mix of theories, models, and techniques that are applied to improve the outcomes, to support the well being of a person, and to create change? Three important things: outcomes, support the well being, that is emotional as well as physical, and to create change.
Absolutely. And full marks to people who have gone on to completely agree. That is what NLP was created for. If you do read about NLP's history, you'll come to know it was started by two people, Richard Bandler and John Grinder. And they actually started studying people who were successful. And they realized, why is it that they are successful? What is it that they are doing differently, which is making them successful? And that is how NLP actually started. And that's when they came up with tools, techniques, and models, which each one of us can apply and get the success we want, make the change we want in our lives, and of course, support our well being.
Wow, I love the part of the well being. That is, it is about the person in being, whether he has to do anything or not. Results, that is outcome. So it's also about performance, and just not in a stable state, but in a developmental state, that is change. So
Absolutely.
all elements.
So, like Sumit and I always say, if you really want to create the impact, then it has to be in intention and action both. And NLP does exactly that. It builds your intention, it helps you take action, and it helps you create the impact you want in your life.
Wow. I believe this is the second last one, and I see the NTU of our HR managers here from NIPM. NLP is a study of how we think and communicate with self, wow, and others, and of how we can use the same to get the results we want. So we're talking about communication with self and others, and we're talking about getting results out of it. So
True.
linguistic here means language, right, Natasha, which
Yes,
is
absolutely.
related to communication.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So NLP is neuro. Neuro means your thoughts, your feelings. And linguistic means how do you store what you take from the outer world? Right? So, what is the language you store it with? How do you store your thoughts? How do you store your experiences? And how do you use these thoughts and language to convert it into behavior? And that's called programming. Yes, and absolutely right. All seven of you take that. Yes, it is about the how. That's the best part. It's not about the why. So, NLP doesn't dwell over why you did not do this. Why was this not done? It is about how could you have done it better? So, it's about the how and what could have been what could have encouraged or enabled you to do things better. So yes, it is, NLP is all about how, what. Yes.
Wow. This, just adding to Natasha's point, this really reminds me of not doing a root cause analysis on a relationship or a problem in life and going back into the problem, but going ahead of in outcome mode and saying how I can do this, how I can really solve it.
Yes.
Okay, guys, the last one. Is NLP all about modeling successful behavior?
I think I gave a cheat already in two
Hmm.
questions back, so I'm hoping everybody is going to go to the right answer. Yes. NLP is about modeling successful behavior. That's the beauty about NLP. It questions and it makes you question if I can do something in one situation using my thoughts, using my emotions, and using it in an effective, resourceful manner, then I can model the same behavior in another situation, which means I can actually change the wiring of my brain. So I can create this, right? It took me a day or two to do this, but I can now, which means your brain has an ability to learn new things. It's just that you have to model it in different situations, and you can take success modeling for different situations as well. Yes.
True. So this brings us to the introduction of what NLP is all about. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you like the way we did it. We approached it through involving your physical senses, all those who used your finger and your mouse to click, your thoughts, and your emotions. We brought it in some amount, some element of challenge, some element of inquisitiveness and curiosity of what people are saying and what Natasha is telling us all about NLP. Now, taking this discussion further to the second element of it. If you really liked it, do let me know. Liked it. Thank you, Uday. Excellent. And the thumbs up really motivates us. Let me take this discussion to the second part of the title, which is, or the first part of the title, which is HR conversations. And let me open your thoughts to one important question. This is just one slide, and I'm not going to force you on another slide. This is going to be the last slide on Menti. So if you have not clicked on the link of Menti and you have not answered, please do it today and please do it now. How challenging do you find the following HR conversations? Whatever you fill in over here, from the least challenging to the most challenging, is going to guide us for the next 15 minutes. What questions should I put up and what model should I discuss with Natasha so that we can make the most of it? So, HR professionals here, spend some time reading these sentences. If you find that the first sentence giving feedback about a personal habit that is interfering at work, you find this as least challenging, give it a 1. If you find it as most challenging, give it a 4. If you find it okay, give it a 2 or a 3. And so on. Keep reading these sentences and submit those answers. You'll get some response like this, as you see on the screen. And we'll pick up those responses and we'll pick up questions along those responses such that it helps us use certain models, and Natasha will tell us about certain models on based on the questions, on the responses which you give. So in the chat you have the link. If you have not yet found the link in the chat, I can give you the link again in the chat. Here it is once again for you. Just click on the link and let us know your responses about which of these elements really are challenge for you. Normally for any program we normally do a pre-work kind of. We do a small survey with the people about what are the challenges which you face. You also must be getting it done from your training vendors. We do it the same way. Here this is an open program and we did not know and we did not have in advance who would come, who would not. So we thought, why not do it live? And here we have 49 participants responding to these questions, and we would pick up those which are top of it and we would try answering them in our next 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes is also planned for a real experience of NLP in your real life challenge. And that's something which is going to be very awesome. So hold your breath. Next 20 minutes is something which we are going to bring in, just not an awareness about NLP, but a real experience for your life where you could really relate and use one NLP tool to a challenging situation in your life. And that's going to be anonymous. You don't have to say anything, but you would really experience that. And if you want me to switch from a language of English to Hindi or something like this, do let me know at any time. I am good in English, Hindi, and Marathi, all three. And I'm okay to speak in any of these languages. Yeah. Okay, 10, 11 people have responded. And if I can look at the top one, negotiating with a suitable candidate to join a critical role at a salary lower than expected is trending, is 3.8. You can see 4 people calling it most critical, most challenging, 4 plus 3 is 7, and nobody at calling it least challenging. Wow, that's interesting. The second highest is 3.6, which is retaining quality employees after they have put down the papers. So one is the opening of the HR cycle, one is the closing of the HR cycle, where an employee comes in and when an employee is about to go out, and that's something which is critical. Both has external people, both has conversation happening. After 3.6, if I go in, there are 2 tied up at 3.3, that is giving feedback. And feedback is a very critical element of HR, which we always look at.